Hey there survivors, long time no see. I'm your host Douglas here at Drownboy Productions, bringing you another video on Screaming Ghostface collecting and much more. I know, it's been quite a while since I've released any content, and it's not because I've wanted to be absent, I've just unfortunately been very busy. Well, I say unfortunately, but I guess it's pretty much a good thing. I've been doing some work on a couple of different independent films, and I've also still been trying to set up stuff for the museum, although, as you can tell, there's still stuff here, so it's not quite done. And I've also been doing some work for the band that I'm in, just several different things. I've been incredibly busy, but I have a ton of really cool stuff I want to show you guys, stuff that's been sitting around, some stuff that has just recently come in, and of course there's been some new stuff that's come out from Spirit, new Trick or Treat Studios products, all sorts of stuff that we will be taking a look at during the month of October. But we're going to go ahead and start off the first video of October with a very special gift from a very special collector in the hobby, as well as some other awesome vintage masks. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's video, and we'll start off with that very special gift from a very special friend and collector. I know my viewers love Screaming Ghostface stuff, and I'm sure you guys will all recognize this one. We're going to start off with this awesome gift. Here we have an MK stamped cotton bib Scream Stalker style Randy Death Scene costume mask. This thing is in absolutely immaculate condition. And as I mentioned, this was a gift. So this piece in particular was recently gifted to me by a very well-known collector in the hobby, Mr. Rudy over at Crimson Ghost Mask Room. I'm sure many of you know who Rudy is, unless you're just, like a Screaming Ghostface collector and that's about it. Rudy doesn't really collect that kind of stuff. He does have some slashers and he's got some really cool pieces in that field, but mostly Rudy collects vintage and classic monster masks, models, toys, everything you can think of from the 60s, 70s, 80s, just so much amazing stuff. Rudy truly does have one of the greatest collections in the entire hobby, so I'm guessing many of you watching already know who he is. But if for some reason you don't know who he is, go check him out on Instagram, and definitely go check out his YouTube channel. You are doing yourself a disservice if you're not watching Rudy's World. He has so many amazing videos on just absolutely insanely rare, out of this world rare masks from the hobby. So many cool vintage pieces, newer pieces. Like I said, there's literally stuff in every single way, whether it be toys, masks, life sizes, just so much. And he has an absolute fountain of knowledge for anything vintage mask collector wise. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely go check out his channel. Last year he did a 31 Days of Halloween event where he showcased a different piece from either his collection or a collection that he had recently acquired every single day during October. And this year, he hasn't really committed to 31 days yet, but he's going to try and put out a video every single day, so go check those out. There's just tons and tons of great content there. Now, as for this mask in particular, this mask came from the collection of a very legendary mask collector, someone who has been around since literally it all started back then. I don't know the gentleman's last name, but his first name is Frank of the Frankenshrine. That was the name of his collection, the Frankenshrine. And it was truly one of the greatest monster collections out there. Absolutely insane stuff. Like I said, going all the way up to like modern day monsters, sideshow pieces, stuff like that, all the way back to classic pieces from the 70s and 80s. Frank had a really good relationship with almost every mask maker in the industry, like Ed Edmonds, Jeff Death over at Death Studios, just so many different people, and he would always get like the best quality of masks, catalog pieces, custom made pieces for him, just always the best of the best. He really did have one of the best collections ever. Unfortunately, we did not get to see that in its full form as he had it, but Rudy has dedicated almost an entire series of videos of going over masks and different pieces from Frank's collection, kind of telling the stories of how Frank got them, where they came from, if they're special, or if they were just really well made, rare, mass-produced pieces, whatever it may be. Rudy has done a great job kind of cataloging and showing off Frank's collection in a way that I guess we wouldn't have been able to see any other way. And this particular mask came directly out of Frank's collection. Now, there's no real story with this as to whether he had the full costume and this was just on display or what, but Rudy came across it and he offered to send it to me as a gift, and of course I accepted. and this thing is in absolutely immaculate condition. The cotton on the mask is still in great condition, a little bit curled up on the edges, but despite the nice quality on this mask, what I truly love about it is the fact that it was a gift from Rudy, who's a longtime friend, a well-known collector, and then also it came directly from Frank's collection. So to have a piece of a legendary collector's collection like that, gifted to me especially, is very special. I'll definitely be sure to cherish this thing and take good care of it. I really appreciate you sending it my way, Rudy. And genuinely, for those of you watching, if you have not seen Rudy's videos on the Frankenstein stuff or even his own collection, please go check it out over on YouTube at Rudy's World and on Instagram at Crimson Ghost Mask Room. You're doing yourself a huge disservice because there's absolutely tons and tons and tons of amazing, very informative content over on his channel. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to take a look at a few other vintage masks that have absolutely nothing to do with Screaming Ghostface. And starting things off strong, we're going to take a look at this vintage Top Stone wolf mask. I do believe they offered these in a few different colorways. I think this is considered the gray wolf or the silver wolf, but I really love the sculpture on this mask. And I'm sure many of you watching are going, that's the Slipknot mask! And it absolutely is. These were used by Slipknot, or at least one member. I don't think the entire band wore them. As a matter of fact, I know that the entire band didn't wear them, but that would have been cool, at least for one night, maybe during a full moon. But in particular, this mask is pretty well known amongst Slipknot collectors. They want it for that particular reason. I like this mask just because it's an incredibly cool sculpture. And this one popped up for very cheap. Unfortunately, it's a little bit stiff in the chin here. It's a little bit misshapen as well from how it was stored, but overall it's not in too terrible of a shape. There's a bit of paint missing off the lip there, but for the price I paid, I really can't complain. I love the crazy hair on these. And overall, the sculpture on this mask is just really cool, especially when it's not all flattened out. Let's see if I can hold it in a bit of a better shape for you all. But yeah, it's a really cool Top Stone mask. I picked it up just because it's a cool sculpture. However, for you Slipknot fans out there, these were used by the band. Next up was the most unfortunate pickup out of all these old Top Stone masks that I grabbed. Here we have one that I absolutely have no clue what the name of it is. Genuinely could not find any information on it, don't know what the name is, don't really know anything about it, but it looks like a Frankenstein that has a skull nose, so he's missing his traditional full nose. And I just really like the colors on him. I like the skull nose. The sculpt was really weird and kind of kooky, and I like the hair on it too. He does, of course, have like some bolts and staples and stuff up towards the top of his head. It's kind of covered up by the hair, but it is there. I was able to pick this mask up for incredibly cheap. I think it was under $25. However, unfortunately, the person that shipped it to me decided that this thing needed to be folded like 8 different times and shoved inside of an envelope to be mailed to me, despite paying normal shipping costs, and so it has a gaping hole in the forehead because the latex fused together. I'm going to go ahead and let you all know this. If you're watching this video and you do not know this about aged masks or latex masks that start to rot, they start to get older, latex especially gets sticky on the inside, if you press the mask together, if you fold it up, if you make contact even just slightly sometimes, that latex will stick to itself, and because it's already weakened, it's going to tear. It's going to rip apart. It can even just fuse together entirely like this did. You can't really get it back apart. I mean, I'm sure there's some way to finesse it to not have this happen, but this is the damage that was already incurred upon it whenever I received it. And I don't know, I could have sent it back, but it's not too terrible. It's just a fold directly in the middle of the face and the top of the head, but you know, it kind of gives it that older mask style vibe anyway, so I guess I'm going to choose not to be too upset about it. And I wanted this to serve as a message to all of you watching. If you're ever shipping old masks like this, if you're ever purchasing them, do not fold them. If you're purchasing them, ask the seller to do not fold them. Do not fold this mask up into 8 different pieces and shove it in an envelope to save $4 on shipping. It's not worth it. That's the thing that makes me go crazy about this kind of stuff, is the fact that the people that do this are only saving a couple of dollars on shipping that any mask collector would happily pay to have their piece come in one piece. And not melted together one piece. You get what I'm saying. But, I don't know, it's really unfortunate. I had found a very nice, early, original copies Distortions Unlimited Cretin on eBay, sent it over to Rudy. He immediately purchased it, and it came in, I think, yesterday at the time of filming. And it was folded up just folded up multiple times in a bag. One of the rarest masks in the Distortions hobby. Early copy too. Beautiful, beautiful mask. And then they just decided to fold it up. I don't understand people. We are down to the last mask in today's video, and I just made a startling discovery. Something felt off the entire time I was recording, but I didn't know what it was. And I just realized I haven't been using my Rode wireless recorder mics. So excuse the lower quality audio in this video in particular. We'll get that fixed in the next video, but like I said, guys, I'm incredibly tired, incredibly stressed from everything going on, but we do have some really awesome stuff to take a look at, like this incredibly weird vintage snake mask. I have no clue who made this because there's no maker's mark on it, no information about it anywhere online that I could find. I reached out to a couple of very knowledgeable mask collectors, including Rudy, to see if he happened to know, and even he didn't know. So it seems most people have not seen these, but they're definitely vintage because this particular copy is nice and crispy around the edges. But yeah, no maker's mark on it anywhere. What we have here is essentially just a pile of snakes. So I guess this mask would make it look like your face is just a big bundle of snakes. And then if you look inside of these snakes' mouths, you can see the eye holes. There is kind of a nostril hole inside of the center snake's mouth, and I mean, overall, they're not poorly sculpted. Some of the snakes look a little bit more like frogs, but outside of that, it's kind of just a cool mask. I mean, it was like $15, $20, I think. Nobody had ever heard of it, and I like the sculpture a lot. So I'm going to try and get this thing possibly foam-filled to save it. And yeah, it'll just sit on the shelf. It's a pretty cool sculpture. A lot of snakes. And that pretty much does it for today's video. We got a very nice mint condition Scream Stalker RDS MK stamped mask here. And of course, we got a few random vintage masks that are from different companies, two of which are Topstone, one of which I suspect to be Topstone, but have no clue to be sure. With that being said, I just want to give another quick shout out to Rudy over at Rudy's World. Go check out his channel if you haven't. And hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Love you all. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoy some of the awesome content coming up in October, and see you next time.